So, first of all, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a few questions for you.
Nice surroundings.
Yeah. This is how we live.
Just MTV cribs.
Yeah.
We live here, both of us.
Yeah. Sometimes it's this nice, sometimes it's even nicer.
Yeah.
Well, it's okay. Can we first talk about the beginning of you guys? What was the reason for you to make music at the beginning in the first place? Did your parents bought you an instrument, like a cello for you or a drum set for you?
At least I was quite innovative with the drums. I think every kid is. I was 3 already, or the first pictures when I played drums are from the age of 3, and I was banging all the pots and pans I could find from our house. I think everybody does that, but I never got any further, so I must start with that phase.
I tried to play a little bit piano when I was a little kid, but it just didn't work at all. My father was teaching me a little bit, but it didn't work at all. But then when 2 of my sisters, they started to go to violin and piano classes in the music school, and I was joining many times to the lessons, and I also just felt that I want to start to play something. So I think when you're a kid, it's not so much music driven. It's more like you get excited about instruments, or playing, just fooling around with something, and the musical taste comes then later.
And even though you would like some music, like whatever it is, you still can play with full heart something else when you're a kid.
Yeah.
Okay. So can you tell us for you to form then a band?
I've known Berto and Paavo since whatever.
55. It was 55.
Yeah. A little bit after Second World War we met. No, I've known Paavo for 22, 23 years, and Berto almost as long as well. And we met in some music camps, because Finland is a small country, and everybody who is more into playing some classical instruments, they meet and they play in same orchestras and stuff like that. And when we started to do metal songs in '93, we already played in other cello groups. We played Jimi Hendrix, we played tangos, whatever, very different styles of music. So just came up the idea that, hey, come on, we love to listen to metal music, like Metallica stuff, for example, and we were like, okay, we should be able to do, if we can play Jimi Hendrix, Purple Haze, we should be able to play For Whom the Bell Tolls. And so we never kind of formed a band. It was more like we just had fun together, played some music beside the classical studies and classical work. And when we played in '95, we played first time in the front of metal audience. Based on that show, we got offered a record deal 1 week later, and we thought, okay, we do the album for fun. We had no expectations on that time. Even then, the lineup was still changing. It was like, I was all the time there, and then another guy was all the time there, but then other people, they just, who was around. So it was not really like a band. And then when we started to tour to play, not even tour, we started to play some shows. And after the album release, and found out that, okay, we can do it differently. Actually, we can make it sound much better. Let's do another album. Then we did another album. And I think even then we didn't feel like we are a band. We were just ensemble in a way. And I think the turning point was when we did Cult. That was kind of the third album was that we started to feel like now we are getting to be a rock band. When we started to play original songs, I think that was the main change. And then we had Dave Lombardi playing drums and one Finnish drummer playing drums on Reflections album. And when we were starting the tour, the Finnish drummer was not able to go to tour, and then we started to ask suggestions that who could be a good drummer for the band for tour. And we got so many recommendations of him that we didn't know before at all. And then I called Mikko that, okay, what do you think? What do you like? He was, first of all, he was like, now you called the wrong guy. I'm not a metal drummer at all. But But then he came to the rehearsal and we were like, okay, can you play this? Can you play this? And and then we started. And Mikko was like as a hired musician for 2 years or so. And then since 2005 or before, he's been a permanent member in the band.
Cool. Can you tell us arrangements and on pop music or heavy metal music, which is more like a song?
It's very different. How is it different? I don't know. No, but it's very different. In classical music, the things are based. It's so much about small details and colors, and it's so living, organic in a way. And in rock music, the qualities are on different things. It's on time, on the sound. It's so many different different things that matters, which makes rock music to sound great than classical music.
And I would also say that in rock music, or in a band especially, everybody sort of compose their own parts, so the band composes it together when we are arranging stuff. And in classical music, it's much more that you play music that somebody else has written. Of course, you bring in your own flavor, but especially playing in an orchestra, that you can't put too much your own input to the stem you are playing. Yeah. So in rock music, every day you can play things differently. So.
But the biggest thing I like playing rock music is that classical music is so full of rules. It's too much rules. It's like there's this old school people who think that if you play Beethoven, there's only one way to play Beethoven, and they try to limit the conservatives. They try to limit your artistic freedom, and in rock music, it's so great that there's in a way there's no rules.
Except for conservative people.
Conservative people there, but you are more allowed to break the rules, and many times the coolest things happen when you just get somewhere totally on the forbidden area of music. There's many times when the coolest things happen, and that spontaneity of rock, making rock music. That's the difference I like the most.
Mm-hmm. But isn't you have an intro, then a first verse, chorus, second verse, then maybe a solo, and
especially if you do like a standard pop or rock music, it tends to be quite often that way. And that was something when we started to make our new album, Seventh Symphony. When we were doing instrumental music, we totally wanted to get rid of that like formal song structure, that there is intro, there is verse, there is chorus. We just wanted to make music, and I think that's one of the biggest succeedings in the album, that we were able to create music which is informal and it's unexpected, and there is no such format which would go on and on.
But there are sometimes people in the pop and rock music, they are able to break that rule, the song structure rule as well, and those are actually one of the coolest songs normally. It's not easy because people are used to do it. So if you break the rule, you need to break it in a way that it's something really special and exciting.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And there's no chance then to get on the radio. So the format radio.
Yeah, there are a few exceptions, but for format radio that have killed the creativity in a way. in many ways.
Quite often when we tour and we ask, is the radios playing the songs? Oh no, we don't play rock on the radios. Well, your radios suck. I don't.
Yeah, it's like I remember very well from Benelux countries when we released Bittersweet, song which has nothing to do with heavy metal in a way. And it was like the radios were like, no, we don't play Apocalyptica, it's too heavy. And it's like, why don't you just listen to the song, and then decide.
That was exactly the explanation yesterday in Switzerland. They also said that radios, they just refuse when they see the name. It's like a red cloth to them.
Yeah, it's too heavy.
Yeah. Whatever.
So I have one last question to this. I think
rhythm music,
entertainment, something like that. Is this common today as well? And what do you think about this?
It's common today as well that it's divided into those two things, and but there's almost, if we think about what has happened in the last 10 years, there's very much development into the direction that classical composers, they want to get into the tools that the rock music has used for ages, you know, the electronics and stuff like that, and it's getting closer, it's getting more mixed and more mixed, so it's very exciting to see where we'll be in 20 years. And also there's a big pressure. I think it depends country by country a little bit, but at least in Finland and most of countries I know in Europe that there is a big pressure for classical world to refresh themselves, because they lose the audience, and they need to find new ways to keep the audience. But I think the reason why it have been so separate is that the structure for classical world has been so massive. They've been too safe for too long time. They have not been needed to be responsible for how their art finds audience.
Yeah, it means that there's old money which projects this art form, and there's good things in that as well, but they haven't ever been in a pressure like pop music is all the time, that it needs to refresh, it needs to come new ways to deliver it to the people. And
I think that should come to and coming to classical world. Of course, I would never say that the music and making music should be based on the money market.
No.
Never. Because there needs to be, to create a great art, there needs to be also possibilities that somebody finance you and you are free of the pressure of being successful. Because then also a lot of great art, great art happens. But it can't be like totally secured territory. And now it's breaking. The walls are breaking, and I think it's good. It will be refreshing for classical culture as well.
Cool. So let's get into another topic. I think the metal scene and all the fans are a little bit conservative, like in almost about 4 guys playing some unusual instruments on the stage.
That was surprisingly positive. The Metallica fans, for example, they took us like, it was like when we were touring, audience was basically 90% Metallica fans, and they took us really well. But we had to work a little bit in the first years, you know, to be like real band. Especially in the Time of Cult record, we really pushed hard to, you know, to get metal image and, you know, really be accepted as a band without Metallica, you know. And but that's very true that the metal audience also has this conservative side, which is horrible. I think every music style has these kind of purists who who think that, you know, there's been not good rock music made since 60s, you know. We have always these kind of people, so
and there are always these people who get afraid of the change, like back in the 40s already, when the guitar player started to put distortion on a guitar, people freaked out, you can't do it. And Beatles growing along here, oh my god, it was so nice the first album, and now they're ruining it. And then these people who have fought back in the 60s for the freedom of music to go forward, now they are the persons who no more, you can't go any forward, it needs to stop. And it's horrible to see young kids who are like, is exactly like I said, they can say about metal that okay, Slayer, they were good, but you shouldn't do anything new, it has to be like that. And come on.
That's one reason why I listen to all the time the new music, very much what's going on all genres, and, you know, just see which direction the music is going, and I think it's very exciting. All the time trying to find something who will be always the next one who is able to do something different than people before.
You need to find the punks of every time.
Yeah, metal used to be for me. I was metal fan in the end of 80s and beginning of 90s, and those times metal was the punk music. That was the punk generation, was the thrash metal, and then metal turned to be too safe, too nice. You know, later on, there's less and less bands who are still rebels, because in good metal and good music there is always a little bit anarchy.
So okay, one last question. You named yourself Apocalyptica. Why is it in metal that most metal bands have such chill end tracks, machine and
Yeah, I think it comes from exactly the punk attitude that what Black Sabbath started. That they just started to play with something which was forbidden, and in this surroundings and in society, that they started to play with this kind of cliche things with Satan and stuff, just to create some, some.
It's easy to like irritate people with that kind of things, so it's fun.
And so the metal genre is basically based on that kind of thing, the genre itself, and therefore it's. And I think it's still very much that the anarchy is more lame, but still there is something. Metal music has a lot of anarchy against the society what we have at the moment, and metal people many times they want to break. It's kind of cliche way to do it, but they want to break these kind of structures we are used to, and show that it's not so black and white also. But of course there's the part of metal fans that they are black and white, but still the
or black
path leaders, they've been always like on the good thing.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do we have any idea?